Welcome in. I am just in the middle of grinding out some of these lost sectors real quickly before the dev stream starts in about 10 minutes. I'm trying to get a helmet because I need a helmet. Ow. Ow. I have been suffering doing this lost sector. Alright, we're good. I didn't know what was going on. I forgot I changed my artifact a little bit before I was doing these, and I couldn't figure out why my indebted kindness didn't have anti-barrier, and I forgot it's because I took it off, because I goofed. There we go. Moving on. I'm excited to see what else they show us today in the live stream. But we're still a week away from the release. I understand. I need this bit to go by pretty quickly, but I don't know if I have enough heavy. Hi, Pickle. Okay, Wyvern's down. Why are you chasing me? Okay. Get away from me, bro. I need that heavy brick. I think I gotta wait. Move. Fucking weirdos. I need these heavy bricks, bricks, bricks. Ow. Ah! Dude. What, bub? Hi. Turtle's okay. Turtle didn't feel good this morning, so there is that. But I'm alright. How are you today, Pickle? I'll hydrate and stuff after this thing. I was hoping this would go a lot quicker than it is, and it is not. And I'm going to die. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, guess not. That's not what I wanted. If I do it really quickly, I might have time for another one. Go up on the bed, bub. Up. She's so funny. Alright. Come up. Look at all that. You're beautiful. You're so beautiful. Alright. If we're gonna do this thing, we gotta scoop. Otherwise, we're not gonna have enough time. This live thing starts. How are you? Not dead. Neither is this guy. Ow. Okay. Champ's dead. This is not one-shotting. Let's go. And it didn't do anything. Moving on. Like 3 minutes. I'll have 3 whole minutes. Stop. I'll hop down real quick. Ow, spicy. Sick. Where's the other one? Doesn't there 2? The other one go away? Get the fuck out of the way, guy! Yikes. I put so many bullets into his head. Let's go, let's go. Chicken. Jesus. Move your fucking big ass head. Ow. Oh! Oh, I didn't see him behind me doing that.
Hell yeah.
We're back from the dead.
Alright, we gotta get this live stream up. Dang, boots? Aw. I think I hit it right at the changeover. Because it should have been helmet. Oh well. Alright. Swap headsets.
Map pack and a couple more details at the end that we'll go ahead and share with you in just a bit. But as usual, it won't just be me talking through it. So let's go ahead and tell you about the wonderful folks I have here just to my left. Some incredible developers here at Bungie. We'll go ahead and start with the gentleman here to my left. Friend of the show, one and only Mr. Tom Farnsworth, Senior Design Lead here at Bungie. Tom, welcome back.
I'm back. I keep bringing me back.
I know, come on, you're the best. We couldn't possibly let you go.
No, of course, I'm the creative lead for Into the Light, but we're really here to talk about all the great work the team has done and these individuals here with us today. And we're going to talk about some exotic missions,
Yes.
Some rewards associated with them, and some PvP stuff. So let's dive in. Let's talk to everybody else here.
Great stuff. We also have, sitting just next to Tom as well, we have Rob Adams, one of the art directors here at Bungie, and kind of the person to help come up with the concept of Into the Light. Rob, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you. We have a lot of fun stuff. We were talking before the show about a lot of cool stuff. We'll have plenty of fun details to dive into here in just a little bit. And of course, the one and only Willie Chang, activity designer here at Bungie. How you doing, Willie? Good morning.
I'm doing well.
For the folks at home that may not be familiar with you or your work, what do you do here at Bungie, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm an activity designer for Into the Light. I worked on the 0 Hour reprise.
Excellent. Well, with that, we may as well start diving into the show at hand. We have a lot of cool stuff to start with. In addition to, like we mentioned, some awesome reprised exotic missions, including the Whisper and 0 Hour, which will both feature, craftable versions
They're
of each
bringing the
weapon.
Whisper?
Let's go ahead and start at the top.
Whisper the
with
Worm?
The Whisper. We've had a chance to go ahead and kind of pull back the curtain and look behind the scenes a little bit. Let's go ahead and start from the very top.
No.
Rob, you were there when it all started. Why did Bungie make the Whisper to begin with?
Well, I think in the first few months of D2, I want to say like the first 3 to 5 months, we felt like there weren't enough secrets in the game. It felt like the game was pretty well known, you know, and kind of like discovered. And it just needed some big secret to be found by the players. And we thought that that would excite our community quite a bit. Like it would just go over really well. We hoped it would at least.
Yeah.
And we had all this nostalgia for the Vault of Glass and Black Spindle. I mean, one day we were just sitting in a conference room and we're like, what if we just made another Black Spindle mission, but we made it a lot bigger,
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of, we've got here on screen kind of some, if we can call it as such, original concept art, you'd say, for the Whisper?
Yeah, it's concept art.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
Well, that's actually the very first whiteboard drawing when we got all excited and we ran and found a conference room and we started, you know, drawing what this could do, what we would want to build. And really, this kind of shows some of the magic formula. You know, like we had a contract, really. That we called it a contract, and this was an unspoken agreement between us as devs and the hardcore, super engaged players.
Yeah.
And it really was, if you can pass a test where your mind is going to be tested, your fighting, right?
Yeah.
Is going to be tested, and you're going to be able to pass these tests, right?
Yeah.
Your movement, your mind, your fighting.
Yeah.
If you can get past these tests, you're going to be rewarded with great power.
Yeah.
And that was the contract. And so one of the other things we did, and you can see it up here in the upper left,
Yeah.
is there's a little crack, and then the path continues.
Yeah.
And that, that's the red herring. And so we thought, well, rather than lead players by the nose and have a bunch of narrative and make it really obvious what you're supposed to do, what if they get into this mysterious place and they don't know what to do? And when they go down the path that they think is right, it's not.
Yeah.
And they go blazing right past the actual opening.
Yeah.
And so we knew or we were pretty confident that was going to appeal to the hardcore players, because once they learned the path,
Right.
they could then bring their friends in and show them, and then we would have the videos,
Yeah.
with the walkthroughs, and it would just appeal to,
Yeah.
to
As they
those
let their
sorts of
friends
people.
go first that first time to watch
Yeah.
them fall off the
Yeah,
edge
yeah.
helplessly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, too, is to kind of focus a little bit more on the art direction as well. I think, to put it lightly, the vibe in The Whisper is pretty intense. Can you tell us what it was like, kind of imagining that space and bringing it to life?
Yeah, well, we wanted this like intense mystery vibe, right? The mystery of I'm on IO and I found this place that I've never seen, I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And where does it go, right? And that mystery, and also the feeling of dread.
Yeah.
And so,
There's a lot of that.
yeah, and it's easy to get a vibe if you listen to one type of music, for example.
Right.
So we were watching Stranger Things and listening to the soundtrack, and I got really into building this traversal puzzle. It has a really consistent vibe because it was just one type of music that was listened to for the whole thing. Yeah.
Speaks to my Hotline Miami fan.
Yeah.
Inside, honestly. Yeah. Also, too, is we've got another picture as well of the infamously titled Green Room as well. There was a really cool anecdote you had kind of about the development process of this. What was it like bringing this kind of very iconic, I guess I'd say, Destiny room to life?
Yeah, well, this is funny because there was this thing that we wanted to try, right? Make a room that has a trap in the center, that if you mess up, you end up going down the trap and you get punished for it. And when you get out, you end up back in the room. And it just happens again and again and again. And there's all these different ways that you try to find your way out of this room.
Right.
So the test was to make a tiny version of this, like 1/4 scale. And we brought it into the playtest lab. We had Cosmo and Dylan. We had a bunch of our testers and designers in there.
Yeah.
And I just waited, right? And I waited for someone to find the hidden shortcut, right? Like what's going to happen when they find that hidden shortcut?
Yeah.
And so the first person that found it, they just screamed and started laughing, and then everybody started finding it, and based on that reaction, we knew we had something good, and then it got scaled up into what you see here, and back to the vibe thing again.
Yeah.
When this got built, all I did was listen to Black Sabbath, the first 6 albums, like over and over.
Yeah.
So it just has that really, really consistent vibe all the way through. That's just a trick that the whole team uses to get a theme or a vibe to be consistent.
We're going to go ahead also too and start jumping the activity so we can see this this vibe up close and personal as well. But here we are. We're back in The Whisper as well. Really quickly too, off the top, Willie, when it comes to bringing these encounters forward, bringing them to the modern era of Destiny, what were some of the bigger challenges that you'd say you have to overcome in order to make sure that they were fitting for today's sandbox?
Yeah, so sandbox-wise, players nowadays pack a lot more power than they did before. People can clear entire rooms of ads from these activities back when they were in their original state.
Yeah.
Just like
This mission was
so we
hard
had
as
to
fuck
beef up the number
when
of
it was
combatants
first
that are in
out.
these encounters, and
they
later on I might
beefed
talk
them?
more about
It's going to be just as hard now as it was when it was originally out.
I think also too, really quickly,
which it was
back
tough.
in the day, there was a very bespoke way of getting into The Whisper. You had to kind of hang out on IO, wait for this mysterious portal to come up. But we've made some changes to that as well. I think you were mentioning before we hopped on the air.
Oh yeah, I mean I was a victim of it, right? We had the public event with the RNG, and you had to wait for the right one. And one time I tried to take a coworker through on a Saturday, and we spent like 7 hours just trying to get a few runs because of the public event. And that we just had to change that, right? And the team was excited about having a new, benefactor, a new character that you go and talk to. So you'll be talking to Eris Morn. Eris Morn is going to tell you some really cool stuff.
Eris is going to take us into this now.
But, you're not going to have to
Interesting.
deal with the frustrating triggered to get in anymore.
But this is for the Whisper of the Worm.
Always good to hear, giving a chance, especially if people are going to
So
come back
this
in
isn't
here
going to give
multiple
anything
times
new
kind of build
to
up their
people
craftable
who already
exotics.
have it.
Obviously, a pretty key component.
Oh, that's a lie,
Also
because
too
now you're
is,
going to be able to
I think
craft it.
it's worth mentioning that this has undergone more changes than just the combat landscape.
Yeah.
For the veteran players who are coming in here, folks like myself that have maybe kind of had a lot of this committed to memory, how have you gone ahead and made sure that it's fresh for those veteran guardians out there?
Yeah, well, the goal was, how is this going to be exactly what you just said, right? Like if I've played this 10, 15, 20 times, I've guided people through, maybe I've made a video about how to get through here, how's it going to speak to me, right? Like
Right.
what's going to be cool for me to go in and do it again? And that was the goal that the team had. And when we knew we were going to do this, I made my own list, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, we're going to change this, we're going to move that, we're going to, and I was really excited about it.
Yeah.
So Tom was in this meeting. So I show up and there's like 15, 20 people, and they presented this whole plan, and I had my list all ready to go, and I was going to wait. I was going to listen to all the proposal and everything, and then
Yeah.
start giving ideas and stuff. And when they finally finished presenting this plan for how to update this thing, I just deleted my list because it was like, it was way bigger and way cooler than anything that I'd come up with.
Yeah.
It was just so neat to see like a fresh take on it. So if you think you know where the chests are, if you think you know where all the secrets are, if you think you know where all the surprises are,
Yeah.
you don't, because they're different. All those old guides and all the old walkthroughs, they're gonna have to be remade. Even though I'll just give one away. When you first get in, there's that first secret chest room on the right.
Right.
The anomaly has taken care of that. It's not there anymore.
Amelie has
Yeah.
taken care of it.
There's
So
more surprises.
to the Steam guide writers, to the game facts writers, to the folks making their YouTube videos, a revision 2 is going to be in order sometime soon.
Oh yeah.
By the sounds of it.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
Dang.
Also, too, is are there any other changes that you guys are particularly excited about when it comes to the Whisper? We're going to move on to 0 Hour here in a little bit, but before we conclude our journey here, Willie, actually on your side, are there any changes in particular that you're excited about with this updated version?
I'm excited about the way that the boss fight has changed
Yeah.
for this activity.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll leave that to folks to go ahead and discover on their own when it comes to the launch date of the Whisper. But yes, this is a first look for the folks out there who are looking to go ahead and make sure that they're ready on day one to go ahead and add another craftable exotic into their collection. Obviously, the Whisper is going to be there for you, but we don't want to spoil all of it. You'll have it in your hands soon enough. And also, some folks out there have already had a chance to play it, so we don't want to go ahead and uncover too many of the mysteries. Up next, we've also got, obviously, another iconic one, 0 Hour. Let's start from the top. Can you explain, Rob,
that revision
the
0?
concept behind Trevor? You've obviously got an homage to him on your...
I have my shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us a little
Yeah,
bit about what this original concept was?
So Trevor was really inspired by this. There's this Japanese game show called Takeshi's Castle, and it's been around a while. And it's great because it has all these physical challenges and people getting knocked down or flipped over and stuff and trying to get through things. And there's just a lot of comparisons to what we try to do in Destiny, and we've borrowed from that show and shows like it for a long time for cool ideas. And they have this one bit where the contestants try to get up this hill, and there's this big fake boulder that comes down the hill,
Yeah.
right? And there's these little like side rooms, like little pockets that they
Right.
can try to get into. And so we were like, man, if we had something like that in the middle of this mission, that would be amazing,
Yeah.
right? Like, and so we had this thing that we called,
go.
there it is.
Yeah, we got some concept art up on
Yeah.
screen now.
So we had this thing that we called the hazard for a long time. The hazard is going to
Oh.
get you, right? And it's going to come down at you.
Yeah.
And on the left, you can see
I
the
remember
original
this.
whiteboard drawing of what this could look like. And there you see the hill with
This
the
is
slots.
terrifying.
Yeah.
We basically lifted off of Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah.
And then that evolved into what we eventually made as a maze,
Yeah.
right? And then there's the very first drawing of Trevor. And on the right, you can see a concept art by one of our artists named Fan Gao.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at it, it had a bit of a vacuum cleaner look. It didn't quite nail the fear,
Sure.
which we
Yeah.
might talk about in a second here.
Oh, yeah.
So then on the far right, you can see the centipede legs and the light and the final revision. That's pretty close to how Trevor ended up.
Yeah, it definitely it feels terrifyingly familiar in some ways, we'll say.
yeah.
And I, kind of while we're on the other the legs,
Good job, Tom.
which brings up honestly another great example I'd love to touch on as well is, as a guardian myself, we've felled gods, we've fought some of the most difficult battles in the universe, whether it's against our fellow guardian or the many foes that set foot inside the solar system. when it comes to Trevor in particular, it elicits a very primal, sincere fear. How did you guys kind of elicit that from players who have obviously conquered so much?
Well, I think there's this like satisfaction from scaring people that's inherent in everybody. Like we've all scared somebody, I think, at some point. It's just super fun, right?
Yep.
So what could we do in Destiny to actually make people feel fear? And the team was super excited about how to try to tackle that problem. Because you're right? Like Guardians can just jump away and we kill everything and we're just gods.
Invisible
God
and dodge
killers.
away.
Yeah, exactly.
To do it, yeah.
So how do you scare our players in the game, right? So the first step was drop you in a maze.
Yeah.
There's something in there that you cannot kill. You can't jump up because the ceiling is just above your head, right?
Yeah.
So those were the first three things. This thing is faster than you.
Yeah.
So you know you're in there with something that you can't kill that can go faster than you. And then of course we did the centipede bottom, which I have this particular phobia of centipedes. Like
the fact that you took something that is such a fear and put it front and center, honestly, like it's commendable.
I watched this video like a week ago where this dude takes a giant centipede and lets it bite him on the arm.
Why would you do that to
I
yourself?
don't know. I almost passed out like watching this video. Centipedes terrify me. And so I thought the bottom of this thing just has to
I
be
don't remember
sideways
what we got
centipede
from
legs
Zero
that are
Hour.
made out of metal, and they just grind you up when it catches you.
I do remember this
And then
mission.
the final
I
piece
remember
of
that,
the formula for this thing really was
Hard
to
light
put
was
a
the
super
weapon for this
bright
mission
light on
because
it
they have
that would
all three
shine
shields
as a
in this.
shadowcaster across your
So
like
it was an
past
easy
your
way
body, so you
to-
can see your own
to kill the
shadow as you're
shield.
trying to get away.
Yeah.
And honestly, like a lot of it was inspired by the anxiety that I feel, and I think folks on the team also felt when we talked about like the trope of a subway that's coming around the corner. Right.
So you
It's
see
just-
that
it's always-
finite
yeah.
just clock running out
It's
in front
coming.
of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You see the light coming, and then you see the thing,
Yeah.
and so that really helped us figure out how to make this thing as
Oh,
freaky
there's
as
a
possible.
No Indiana
brig.
Jones laying down on the tracks hoping for the
I don't
best
remember
here.
the
no,
brig.
Not a chance now. Trevor's going to
Is
chew
this
you up,
new?
honestly. So also, we
This
found
has to
ourselves
be
now,
new.
we're in the beginning stages here of the Whisper we can see on screen. Willie, we kind
Not
of
the
touched on this
Whisper,
briefly
0 Hour.
over the course of the Whisper.
It's all right, bud.
But can you tell us a little bit about what it was like sort of
0 Hour.
reinventing these combat spaces and these encounters for Guardians in a modern sandbox, especially those that are going to have the Brave arsenal available to them?
Yeah, so just now you saw a brig in this encounter, which there wasn't one before.
Yeah, okay. I thought I was
I
right.
think
There wasn't a brig
there's
before.
the desire to keep the soul of the activity, which is that, oh, there's time pressure on me to finish this activity quickly, and also I'm going up against powerful enemies that are trying to stop me from doing that.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that the combat still felt challenging, even in today's sandbox, so we added some new combatants.
There's a walker in there. Oh wait, was that in there
And we
before?
also just increased the number of combatants, period,
Yeah.
so that players had more to do with their more diverse and deadly tools.
Yeah. Guardians have plenty of those available to them.
No, I was there before. I think.
When you were developing these combat spaces as well, were there any moments where you really thought to yourself, like, all right, this is it. Like, we've really centered in on what was great
Isn't
about
he a
this mission
sword to
originally,
DPS
but this is
the
going to be
walker?
appropriately challenging for today's Guardians.
Yeah, I think when we play tested it and we had everybody load up with their like new maneuverability tools, their swords, their grapples to go through the activity, and then we were expecting that like, oh, people are going to breeze through this like it's nothing, like the original 20-minute timer has to become something else, but really all of that translated over pretty well. Like the individual sections are self-contained enough that like you can't bypass too many things by just using one new tool.
Sure.
The whole thing sort of still felt like 0 Hour,
Yeah.
even with your new toolbox.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Even with, we're going to go ahead and jump forward here a little bit as well, using our dev tools to take a look at Trevor as well. So for the folks out there that want to reinstill that fear in themselves, now's a brief chance to check it out.
This fucking robot was
Also, too, is we're in a world where
terrifying.
there's strand grapples, there's shatter skating. When it came to kind of redesigning these activities, or even making,
Trevor.
I guess, alterations more appropriately on these activities, with one like Trevor, for example, what was the challenge that you kind of had to overcome with those new movement tools in addition to the combat tools that players have available to them?
Yeah, I guess philosophically, I want to make sure that if people were speccing into being highly maneuverable, then I honor that choice and say, yeah, you're highly maneuverable. Like maybe you're in this hallway with Trevor I don't want to be ground up by these centipede legs, so I'm going to sword skate through this so that I can have a little bit of speed on Trevor. But like, you know, you still can't invalidate the challenge entirely. Trevor will still kill you if you mistime those. So they're just like different expressions of how you want to tackle these challenges, and none of those expressions like fully throw these challenges out the window.
Yeah, actually, something too that I'm seeing pop up in chat here is the mention of the timer. So for starters, there's also, this is normal difficulty, and there's also legend, isn't that right? Yeah, Tom, can you tell us a little bit about like any updates to the timers in these missions as well?
So, and Willie, feel free to hop and correct me if I'm wrong, but on normal, it's 40 minutes because we want to give players a little bit extra time, especially if you're new. We want this to be accessible. Everyone would get in there and get the experience. But a lot of our kind of like quests, content, and secrets are in the legend version, which has a 20-minute timer. Correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you,
So
Jeff.
there's secrets in the legend version.
In addition to these other updates you've made, are there anything or any changes you've made in particular that you're excited about, that you're comfortable talking about it here, or is it just you want players to dive in and find out for themselves?
Yeah, so the whole secrets setup for 0 Hour is different. So, you know, previously we had key cards. Those have been replaced by another secret system that you'll just have to find out more about for yourself.
Excellent.
And, you know, I'm also proud of the boss fight in this.
That's right. Yeah, we'll hold that one close to the vest. Players will have a chance to see that on their own and see Willie's hard work in person very soon. Now, as we mentioned at the top of the show as well, there's going to be craftable versions of these exotics, and we're going to check them out. But there was one more example that I wanted to ask you about, Rob, in particular. There was some discussion briefly about the acronym that is Trevor. Could you tell us what that stands for?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, but
Yeah.
I had to open my phone because it's like impossible to remember that.
We all have our notes. Yeah, it's part of the game.
So early on, the team, we just realized we had to figure out an acronym for this because we loved the name Trevor because it was paradoxical. I went to school with a kid named Trevor who was the nicest kid in the entire school. Just nice to everybody to a fault, right? So I always thought like Trevor is just the nicest name. And so paradoxically, here's this evil thing named Trevor, and we thought it was hilarious. But once we alphanumericized, is that a word?
Yeah.
Once we made that, we had to come up with the acronym. So the one that I had was Tracking Robotic 3-Vectored Reducer. Because it reduces, right, Tom? It's like it reduces you, yeah. But that was our internal acronym.
Yeah.
And so when we went to GuardianCon and we did like a fly-through or like a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And so the community team thought that we should let the fans of GuardianCon decide what the actual acronym for Trevor was. And so we had like the 5 different examples, and my tracking robotic was in there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's one of the things. I was like, please pick mine, please pick mine.
Yeah.
And so at the end, what they decided on, and they decided by loud applause, and it was like very obvious that this is what they wanted.
The committee had
Oh yeah,
spoken.
it's like very obvious.
Yeah.
What they decided on was tame, relaxed, triple vac roommate. So that's the official name for Trevor.
That's it. It's
The acronym.
codified.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. To the denizens of GCX, thank you very much for your hard work and letting us know exactly what Trevor should be called. That's really cool. I wish I'd been there for that. Okay, now we're taking a quick look at the craftable exotics as well. We're going to go ahead and start with Whisper of the Worm. Tom, can you tell us a little bit about what players who are kind of going to go ahead and facilitate their own play style or want to build a Whisper all to their own? What are they going to have to look forward to with all this?
Yeah, even before we get into the crafting, like I've got my notes here from Chris Proctor, so
You're the
I'm
man
ready to
himself.
go. Yeah, he's
Right.
sitting on my shoulder, helping me out here. And we wanted to retain the fantasy of both these weapons, of both Whisper and of Outbreak. And Whisper, it's a hard-hitting precision weapon where you're in the backfield. Like, and if you land your crits, you're rewarded, and you can sustain a ton of damage on a boss or enemies with a large critical area.
Ogres will be felled.
Ogres would be felled. The servitors.
Don't stand a chance. Yeah.
And then with Outbreak, the fantasy is all about spreading the plague of Siva nanites.
Certainly.
And we'll be able to get to that in a minute. But
I think we're looking at Whisper right now.
yeah, so specifically with Whisper and Outbreak, for both of them, with both these crafted weapons,
that's
they'll
what
both
came from
have
Outbreak.
a craftable barrel, magazine, traits, and stock options. The barrel and magazine options will let you really push the stats around. So you'll be able to have a max stability Whisper if you want.
Yeah.
Which was really advantageous for a weapon that's about this hitting repeated critical hits.
Certainly.
In an area. And then specifically for the perks, on Whisper, and both the perks on Whisper and Outbreak are things that, by engaging in our secrets week over week, and both of these exotic missions, you'll be able to unlock them. And Whisper, it starts off with Mulligan, which is the classic perk where if you miss your shots, they get refunded. But if you upgrade it, you can get Field Prep, which will give you more shots, which equals more damage. And then there's No Distractions, which will allow you to, keep under fire, hold your aim on your target better. And there's also Enlightened Action, which is for more forgiving reloads. So there's, I think, a lot of options for players at different play styles and different skill levels there. And then just the kind of the cherry on top there with Whisper is that it's getting a reserves bump. So it's going to go from 18 in reserve to 24 in reserve. So you're going to have a ton of ammo to be just like make it a sustained damage monster, which is super exciting.
So ultra precise players like myself who never miss a shot will have even more. Why are you guys laughing? Why do you?
Sorry.
Why is that funny? No, that's really exciting. We also we have Whisper the Worm in addition to Outbreak Perfected now joining the pool of craftable exotic weapons. Let's take a quick look at Outbreak as well while we're here hanging out in the Enclave. Tom, kind of, second verse, same as the first, same question. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the perks and updates that players will have available to them with their options to craft Outbreak Perfected?
And so in addition to barrels and mags, it has its classic Outlaw perk is back. So you get your fast reloads on final blows, which works really well with Outbreak. It's all about also landing precision hits to either spawn nanites or to kill enemies and spawn nanites and spread that Siva energy around.
Spread the plague.
Spread the plague. And then the second one, though, that we're added here is Rapid Hit, which plays right into that. So like you land your precision shots, you get more stability, you get faster reloads. Then another new one is Rewind rounds. It's hard for me to say.
Rewind rounds.
Try it out.
Dude, everybody's gets
to minimize your reloads.
round.
So like if you're hitting shots, you're just going to keep getting more ammo, which is really kind of interesting.
Perpetual motion machine? No, perpetual death machine.
So yeah, it's like do you want the reloads, or you just want to keep shooting?
Yeah.
And then there's also a Head Seeker, which I think maybe for PvP or for certain play styles where like you're less focused on your critical shots. That's something to think about as well.
Right.
In terms of catalysts, if you already have them, you're golden. You can craft those. If you don't, play the legend version of Whisper and 0 Hour, and you'll have a chance to get them.
Very cool.
So that's still in there. And
so
then, as I
you don't
mentioned,
have
for
to
unlocking
re-get
these
them.
new
They'll already be
intrinsic
unlocked
perks
if you
that you
have
can
it.
slot in, it'll be like a 3-week
Thank goodness.
mini quest
I was
line
afraid I was
that
gonna have
rolls
to
into the
actually do
secrets
this
for each
mission.
of these.
I'm still gonna
And
do
Whisper
it,
is
but-
coming at launch with Into the Light.
Exciting.
And 0 Hour is coming in May.
Perfect. Okay. So be a chance to go ahead and sink your teeth into 0 Hour for a while before you go ahead and change your attention and start unlocking another one of the storied exotics of old.
Whisper.
Also, it's worth mentioning that there are more than just the craftable weapons available as rewards in these missions. There's some tried and true ships. Now, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, but as someone who still to this day wears 1,000 wings.
You and me?
Yeah, like we know the feeling of getting that ship and finally having that I was there moment. The ships are making a return as well, isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so for both Whisper and for 0 Hour, they're coming back. Is it the exact same ship, or are there going to be changes on them?
No, these are actually new assets, right? They're new ships, so they won't be the same. They won't sit in the same spot in your inventory, and they are updated to look really cool and new. And I think they're exciting, especially we took the old scrap drifter ship that was, I think. Not really loved particularly by the community. Because it was literally scrapped together from spare parts to get built. And so we did a really nice pass on that. So it's inspired by the look of Outbreak Perfected, and I think it looks great. I think the community is going to love it.
Yeah.
And then we have the Whisper ship, 1,000 Wings. It's got a new design. So you'll still have your old 1,000 Wings. And if you have that equipped, players are going to know that you're OG and that you got it back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And the new one is going to look like the new one, so there won't be any mistaking the old one for the new one.
Very cool. Excellent. So for the players who want to go ahead and continue to build up their collections, there's a chance to go ahead and dive back in. Maybe they weren't there originally, but they want to go ahead and join the 1,000 Wings Club to a degree.
Exactly.
Excellent. So it'll be a chance to go ahead and unlock those as well. Excellent. Well, I think we are actually about at the point of the show we're going to go ahead and get ready to rotate over to the PvP map pack. But for starters, let's go ahead and make sure we thank our incredible team of playtesters here, going ahead and showing off the missions for us. Ashley, Peyton, and Michael, thank you all so much. Very much. There we go. We're getting some waves from the backstage. Thank you all so much for the time. And of course, Willie, I think this is unfortunately the time now we bid you adieu to go ahead and transition into the PvP
Thanks
map.
for having me.
See you soon.
Awesome. Willie, thank you so much. All right, we are now
He's just so
joined by
cool.
another member of the Bungie
Willie,
development
I think,
team,
is my
a
favorite
staff
team
artist
member that
here
I've
who
seen
has
so
helped
far.
made many of the PvP maps
He
you've
seems
also
so
known and
cool.
loved. The one and only Mr. Cooley Callahan. Cooley, welcome to the show, man.
Guys, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for having me
Absolutely, it's been so long.
Yeah, it has. It's been a minute.
Look at us, right? Who would've thought? Yeah.
That's full circle.
Yeah. Now, we were talking a little bit before the show about Cooley. I'm going to go ahead and do us all a favor and put Cooley on the spot to a degree. Rob, we were talking a bit about Cooley's history.
We were.
here. Can you tell us a little bit about the man sitting just to your left, the contributions he's made to the PvP pantheon?
Yeah, well, one of the things that was really important for us was to make sure that the strike team was stacked, that we had the best designers on the strike team. And so Cooley is certainly one of those. He's a 6-year veteran of the PvP team who's shipped over 11 maps.
Yeah.
A lot of them are fan favorites, and I'm not going to steal any more of Cooley's thunder. I'll just let him talk about some of that.
Yeah, it's not everyone's a banger. I mean, there's definitely some maps that people would want some words with me. But I
We'll
think,
save that for later. But what are some of the
just
bangers?
come find me. It's I think Burning Shrine,
Yeah.
which is now Burnout. It's such a classic map. It's a Trials favorite. And then Midtown is another map that turned out really well. We built that for Countdown, but I was just chatting with another Destiny fan at the dog park the other day, talking about how well that map supports all of the different engagement ranges, which is definitely something that we try to do. We try to create places for players to use their favorite tools.
Yeah. Now, with the maps, we're going to be looking at 3 of them today with kind of a primary focus on, you were mentioning earlier, I think it was the 3v3 kind of competitive side of things was sort of the focus for these maps.
Absolutely, yeah. I think early on, a lot of the direction that we got was we wanted to bolster that competitive gameplay experience with new maps, tweaks to the modifiers of some of the modes. And so we, in our play testing, really focused on the competitive playlist and really centered and put those experiences at the forefront. And then, all Destiny maps, can suit a variety of modes. So we also made sure they worked elsewhere. But for the most part, we really did want to provide new experiences and just breathe a little bit of new life into the higher, maybe a little bit sweatier gameplay.
So weird how you were staring directly at me when you said sweaty, but that's fine. We'll let it go for now. Actually, briefly too on that topic before we kind of go into the guided tour of these maps. Having had so much time to sort of be a part of building the tapestry that so much of our PvP happens on, what were some of the key lessons that you've kind of taken away from having built those maps and seen them go through everything from trials to quick play and bringing forward those lessons into these maps?
Yeah, I think one thing that is always at the forefront of our minds is trying to strike that balance between providing the playground for players to express themselves and express their Guardian and their play style. So a lot of verticality, a lot of movement, and then balancing that with making sure players understand where they're getting shot from, and creating a satisfying PvP engagement that doesn't leave players cursing the map or feeling like they don't understand why they died. So we want to make sure that players have we want to provide a choice for players that's always available to them to riff and to work with their team to use the map to their advantage. So it's a balancing like a complex gameplay space that allows a lot of movement and freedom without opening it up so much that you're not understanding like, geez, I can get shot from so many different places.
Certainly.
So we really it's a little bit of back and forth. We'll open it up, we'll try some things. Especially this time around, we tried some stuff and got into the weeds a little bit. But I think that's all part of the discovery process of finding the gameplay that we want to create. And so we go a little further, maybe too far in the openness and Swiss cheese, and then we bring it back and make it a little bit more focused and really dial in the engagements that we want.
That's awesome. I mean, speaking of getting in the weeds, there's no time like the present. Shall we go ahead and dive on in?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Cool.
Diving on in. All right, we got the first of 3 maps to go ahead and show off. This is the we have one on Europa, one on Neomuna, and then one on one of the pyramid ships in Essence, I believe is the
That's
name of
right.
the location. So this is the first one. This is here on Europa. Cooley, can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here today, or where we are?
Yes, so this map is
This looks
called
like the
Eventide
load-in zone.
Labs, and this is a
This is
long
Eventide's
forgotten
load-in zone.
human colony research outpost on Europa. And it just so happens that Aramis has chosen this location as a refueling station for her catch. So here you'll see, perched just above the horizon is her catch in the skybox with, it's getting hooked up, and we have a servitor over here that's hooked up to the catch to provide that ether that the elixir need. And so we really wanted to situate the maps in the universe and,
This is
draw
a
on that
funky
deep Destiny
ass
lore.
map.
But yeah, we definitely have a presence
Why
of
does it
Fallen
feel
here,
familiar?
set amongst the abandoned human,
The
ice
hallways.
encrusted structures.
Have we
in the
had this
past,
map
which
before?
has been a really
They bringing
fun
this one back?
environment
That
to work on.
hallway
We
feels
definitely
very
want to
familiar
bring
to
in
D1.
as many new palettes as possible because there's so much great environment art content. The palettes are really cool, and we want to use those in PvP wherever we can. Just to, the different palettes have different character that leads to different gameplay spaces.
Also, when it comes to kind of finding these maps of place in the world, Rob, having kind of looking at these through an artistic lens, what
There
were some of the
definitely was a
challenges
map
or
that
even
was
kind of
kinda
exciting
similar to
opportunities
this.
potentially of finding, new places for these
It
maps to live in the more modern
was
era of Destiny that we've been experiencing more recently?
Somewhere. I don't remember.
Well, we really wanted to make sure
But I
that
remember it
when
was
we
out when
do
Witherhoard was out
an update like
originally.
this, it's a major refresh to the map rotator, right? Like we're adding quite a bit of variety here. We wanted to make sure that we had 3 distinctly different places and places that players haven't seen a bunch of times. So
Right.
fortunately, we had these available to us, and I'm looking at it again now. I mean, I'm not getting sick of looking at this. The team does such a good job.
It's gorgeous. This is, one of the cool things is just how purposeful everything feels in the world.
Yeah.
The art team always pushes it so far where it really feels like you're walking into
there's so
a truly
many
recently defunct,
blind
human
corners,
colony or
there's
whatever the
so
case
many
may be.
so close.
Yeah, and the
range.
frozen world of Europa, I mean, they all have their advantages for PvP, but the frozen ice walls of Europa are just perfect for
Yeah.
multiplayer, and I'm sure Cooley's going to talk about this a bunch.
Yeah, actually, also too, Cooley, if you wouldn't mind, as people who have heard me talk too much about Destiny PvP would know, Dead Man's Tale and I get along a lot. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about some of the sightlines or opportunities that I'll have to maybe rack up some additional kills as I dive into this map the first time?
Totally. If long range is your thing, this spot out here is definitely the place for you. There's one spawn that happens for
Thank you
one
for
team over
having
by
him
C
stop
and then one over
clipping
by A,
because
and
now we
so
can see where
in
the
these
actual
competitive
zones are.
modes, if you've got an objective out here,
And B
this
is
sight line is really
way the
important to
fuck
lock
out
down. So this is the
and open.
This is a spot where you're going to have 2 teams poking and peeking each other, and then rushing over here to try to get to this zone and lock it down. And if you're rolling with that long range kit, you can hang back and sort of lock down this airspace here so that you can provide cover and maybe
He
support your team
aimed
from
out
being
to the edge of that
harassed
building,
down
but
this
I
point.
hope to God nobody can go out there.
And then
Fantastic.
we also have sort of this the sight line in the middle, which will be pretty fun. It's definitely going to be a race to for each player or each team to kind of get to this spot and lock down this sort of portal here to ensure that you can push into this space and kind of control the middle. But as you can see, there's lots of ways for players to come in and flank. So if you're holding the space, you'll really not want to be here for too long unless you've got the support to do it.
Yeah. Make sure you throw those grenades right off of the rip, basically, when you're coming out of spawn to try and
Yep.
conquer that territory as best you can.
Yeah, one of the things I love about these ice caves is, it provides a lot of opportunity for grenades, like trip mines, and to bounce things off of the back of the walls, and the shapes here are just really fun to play with.
All right, so this is one of 3 maps. Let's go ahead and prepare to go ahead and move on to the next one here really quickly. We've got, coming up next, Neomuna as well. So finding a place, on Neomuna, obviously, that makes sense for PvP probably seems pretty natural, honestly, given just like how rich and vibrant and exciting of a place it is. What was it like, even starting from an artistic standpoint on
They
this
put
map,
us
Rob?
in an arcade.
This was a really exciting map for the team. It's a shopping/entertainment center for the Exos on Neomuna. And,
Yeah.
Thank you, Pickle.
so there's a lot of really fun decoration, and the spaces have a lot of character to them. There's a lot of recognizable things, human scale things that look relatable, and we don't always get that in all of our palettes. And so this is also an opportunity for us to have a really clean architectural map that has a lot of crisp edges and very flat floors. So all of definitely the more competitive players and the sort of the more PvP diehards, they really take to this map, and it's an instant hit. People are just right away pleased.
That
with,
zone is so close
how
to
readable
spawn.
the map is.
Holy
it's
shit.
one of those maps that you play a couple
You
times.
spawn
and
in
you're-
basically on that zone.
You get it. Like, you understand that it's all about the center atrium room that is really open and kind of has this big pit in the middle, and then there's this area down here which is where a lot of objectives spawn, and there's some special ammo down here. But then there's also this place over here where the heavy ammo spawns, and players will oftentimes just pop up here to do a quick check and maybe like try to get a cheeky kill on somebody who's maybe running from cover to cover, but you can't hang out here for very long because you've got so many different angles at which you can get shot from. But that's kind of like that balance of what I was talking about before. Like, we want to provide that, but we want to make sure that it's not too powerful, or it's still it's a risk reward, right? You're making a trade-off, and the players who are using the map well and who understand the map will be able to use it to their advantage.
Yeah, actually, also too, to kind of focus on the readability. I remember overhearing some discussions with you designers talking about the clean zone in PvP. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it kind of helped inform the design of this map?
Yeah, definitely. I think the clean zone is something that a lot of developers really use to
the aquarium.
sort of create this space for the player to pop, right? To like really stand out from the environment. And so for us, it's about where the player's head height is. And this map is just one of the examples of how it can really provide for a good PvP experience to have this sort of mark on the wall where you can kind of expect players to reside in.
Yeah. Till they jump around and strands suspend you in the air, and you're just left there cursing the heavens for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm speaking on my own behalf. This is looking fantastic. Yeah, this is, I will say, one of the maps that, having done a little bit of play testing myself, I still have to give you credit for perhaps one of the most diabolical heavy weapon spawns, or heavy ammo spawns, rather, I should see, in any PvP map. Like, the sheer amount of risk reward that goes into just making your way safely, or so you think, out to that particular territory.
Right.
As you guys were even building that balance in of these consumables on the map, Cooley, what was it like sort of having that process evolve or grow?
Yeah. Typically when we start laying out a map, we just kind of start with control, because it's a good base
There's
point.
a cat. Look at that
Requires
cat.
3, very well-defined combat pockets that have an objective in them. But then from there, we start mapping out the other objectives that might exist on a map, like the heavy ammo point. And I think we've kind of gravitated more toward having special ammo live next to some of the other objectives on the map, so you're not constantly having to make a choice of where should I go. But we kind of map those things out, and it's sort of a formula. There's definitely a
This map feels
sort of a
incredibly
order of
close quarter
operations,
and
so to
very
speak.
blind.
You start with these big strokes. You go to the next stage.
It's a good thing they got
start
rid of
making sure
special
that you've
ammo
got space and combat
being a
pockets
constant,
for
'cause
maybe Dominion or
the shotgunning would be
some other game
horrible.
modes, and things just kind of fall into place from there.
Excellent. All right, and we've got one more map to check out as well. For all the fine folks at home, we're going to continue our guided tour, and we're going to make our way over to Essence, to one of the pyramid ships, to check out the final PvP map that will be releasing in this pack. As we're flying in, I gotta give you guys credit. Like, the space that exists inside those pyramid ships that's being terraformed by the Traveler looks just absolutely incredible. But this is the first time you guys have had a chance to really flex your muscles and build a PvP map out here. Rob, just to start from your perspective as we load in, what was it like developing this, playground for Guardians that's kind of so deep in the enemy's backyard?
I think it was really tough.
Yeah.
I remember there were quite a few iterations of this map, and I know Cooley's going to go into more detail, but like from a high level, it's a pretty inherently noisy palette. Cooley was talking about the clean zone. there's some palettes in the game that are just very visually noisy. So the geometry is noisy. They create a lot of shadow and a lot of highlights just
Yeah.
by the geometry itself. And then the textures, the shaders that are on the geometry, those can be noisy.
Yeah.
And then there's the clutter of the palette. So when you have an environment with a lot of entropy and there's just rubble everywhere, there's like garbage.
I don't
strewn
know
around
why I
or-
was
or
hearing,
plants
like,
hanging
pyramid
down,
ships and
we often
thinking
do in
tomb
Destiny. We
ships.
have to declutter. Some of like the European dead zone maps, for example,
Yeah.
are highly cluttered. And so this was an example of one of those fairly entropic, high clutter palettes
Yeah.
that the team had to kind of wrangle into shape.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Cooley's going to talk about that process because it was quite a process.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, Cooley, I'd love to continue and just start there. You know, taking this space on a pyramid ship and kind of making it suitable for a PvP map. What was that process like from your perspective, kind of from more of a design
This
side?
is crazy.
Yeah, it's again a process of back and forth. You know, we start with mass out, and mass out is the simplest and cleanest a map will ever be. And you know, from there we start developing the spatial character of the map. And one of the things we like to ask ourselves is, what is this place? And even with a more abstract palette like the Essence ship, it's worth asking that question because we can leverage spatial archetypes that just kind of like naturally resonate with people. So like here we have, in this map, we have sort of these dueling huts, or these
Yeah.
dueling ziggurats, and inside of them is this artifact or shrine. So maybe this is like maybe this part of the ship is a collection of mysterious artifacts that the witness has collected. And so we lean on those things to give a little bit of rhyme and reason to a space that otherwise is completely abstract. And that is also really useful for us in terms of we can make any kind of space we want. Like, we're not limited by architectural constraints, but you know, it can be tough sometimes to orient players in the map when you don't have things like doors or, you know, like TVs or you know, any sort of, you know, human scale architectural pieces that kind of clue you in. So, yeah.
It's also too is I remember we were talking a little bit before the show, Rob, even about, you know, what it was like from a design standpoint and bringing in external testers to try these maps out for the first time. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and kind of, as you, I think, phrased it, discovering your own blind spots?
Yeah, well, we've done this before for years, really, and
Yeah.
we did it again here, and it was, I think, really successful because, you know, it was 2 days. They ran through these maps when they were still in development. They
Yeah.
weren't too far enough along where we couldn't make some pivots that we needed to.
Yeah.
And they found a lot of stuff. I mean, for this map, for example, we thought it was in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
And a lot of things were called out. They didn't pull any punches. They were honest and clear and constructive with the feedback. And it
Yeah.
wasn't super easy to hear it all, but
Sure.
you know, when the team listened to it, and we took tons of notes, and it was also about, I mean, they gave feedback on our sandbox as well.
Yeah.
But lots and lots of map feedback. It was incredibly useful, and you know, just another lesson in what we don't see.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's so valuable to do that. And these, I can't say who they were, but they're very well-known community
Maybe
players.
some folks in chat, who knows? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You know
you know,
who you are.
we really were careful about who we brought in because we wanted people that would be very pragmatic. You know, they weren't interested in their own, you know, YouTube monetization strategy or how they particularly make content. They wanted the game to be in a great place. They wanted PvP to be in a great place for the community and for Destiny.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, and they were carefully selected that way, and great communicators who could articulate the feedback. They could really speak to what they were experiencing
Yeah.
and what we could do to fix what they were experiencing.
Yeah.
And I'd like, Cooley can probably say what he thinks about it too, but
Yeah.
I was just blown away by
Yeah.
how valuable that was, and we definitely want to keep doing that.
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cooley, can you tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
that experience on your side as well?
Totally. I mean, it's so fun to, like, those are some of my favorite moments when we can get a bunch of you know, super fans from the community in and show them work in progress stuff, and they can actually give us real actionable feedback that we take back to our desks and talk about it, and we discuss how can we you know, sort of take their feedback and move forward. And this content is for them in a big way, right? Like, we need their approval. Like, we absolutely, you know, that's our mark. That's our goal, is to you know, create content that they're going to love playing, and that they're excited to play, and that their communities are going to get excited to play, and sort of learn together and build strategies for. You know, that's the funnest part of the job.
Yeah, I mean, also, you know, Cooley, on your side in general, what are you most excited for players to experience once this gets out into the world with Into the Light?
Yeah, I'm excited to see these maps rotate into trials. I'm excited for players to have a totally new trials experience that, you know, is going to be a sort of
These maps are gonna
an experience
hurt.
of discovery of these new spaces and new strategies. And
These maps feel very
for players
intimidating.
to
Seeing them
also,
like
you know,
this.
the meta isn't really formed yet. I mean, like we sort of know how the map plays, but it's always a fun surprise to see in the wild just how the map ends up sorting out and what people end up doing. And you know, we're really looking forward to just watching what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I count myself among the many that are excited to go ahead and dive on in, having more playgrounds to go ahead and dive on in on trials, no matter what the case is, to maybe try and go ahead and actually get some more competitive rank. Cooley, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through these today. We really appreciate it.
Anytime, my pleasure.
Excellent. And all right, well, we'll go ahead and use that as a moment to conclude the quick tour of as well of the PvP maps. We got a quick question from chat from Jake Asor asking about are we going to get a playlist or mode? It'll be just these new maps during Into the Light, and the answer is yes. When they launch on May 7th, we'll have a 3v3 playlist to go ahead and talk just about these items. I'd rather let you play just those maps. Rather, we're talking about them today. They're all going to be playing them very shortly. All right, well, that so far wraps up the first two segments of our show. But we've got, as I mentioned at the top, a few more announcements for you as well. So you may have heard us mention the word Pantheon in the TWID last week, or even on the show here last week potentially as well. We have got a brand new raid boss gauntlet rather, starting on April 30th. Now there will be more information about this in an upcoming TWID. You'll have more details to dig into shortly, but you will have the Pantheon coming up where you'll have an opportunity to face grueling raid bosses in a weekly challenge with escalating difficulties and rewards. Now, this is a chance for you to go ahead and rally your clan or the perfect fire team with Fire Team Finder, if you're able to track them down, to go ahead and track down those exotics, adept weapons, any emblems you may not have gotten your hands on. But
is it only going to be
we have more
raids?
details for that in the coming weeks.
As well,
keep an eye on the
you should do
TWID,
it for
Cosmo, and the community team. Thank you for your hard work putting that together. Two, when you dive on in on April 9th, actually rather before we get there, I'm sorry, we will have the opportunity to also, you'll have the opportunity to get a title through your course of Into the Light as well. So if you dive on in, go ahead and unlock all the triumphs associated with the seal, you'll be able to march into the final shape with a brand new title, Brave, as well. So make sure, go ahead and get those big challenges bit off, so that way you can handle them as early as you possibly can and let the witness know that you're on the way. And we have three really, really cool things hitting on April 9th when Into the Light launches. The first one is, if you're a new player, you got a buddy who's just jumping into the game for the first time, and you'd rather not hang out with Shahan and the Cosmodrome, then you have an opportunity to go ahead and just join the front lines. You can skip the New Light campaign, give Shahan maybe a high five on the way out, ask him for a weekly bounty when you're back later, but you have a chance to go ahead and meet up with your friends, head to the Hall of Champions, grab the gift of the Thunder Lords if you so choose, and get ready for battle alongside them. So you'll be able to go ahead and grab some of these New Light kits as well, depending on what your subclass of choice is out of the gate, but your barriers to dive in with your friends have never been lower. There'll be a chance to go ahead and dive on into everything you're seeing with Into the Light here. Also, we have a couple more things. We have some questions in chat about this as well from Idzepski and Atlas Live TV, but on 4.9, you'll have the opportunity to also change the way your character looks. So you'll be able to go ahead and change your hair if you didn't like your haircut, if you want to go ahead and change your face paint, if you want to go ahead and risk it to be one of those guardians who goes helmetless in the tower. I'm not sure if I'm brave enough, but I know many of you are. Your chance will be arriving very soon with
people going helmetless.
And there will also be an opportunity to change your name. So Guardian 4681 out there, with the launch of Into the Light, we're also going to give you one more name change token. If you already have yours sitting around, I believe you have two, but our friends in DPS will be able to answer that question for you. But you'll have that chance as well once Into the Light launches. Now, there's a lot, but we also have one more thing for all of you. Next week, we're going to be joining you again for a special developer preview of some gameplay for Destiny 2, the final shape.
I thought this was the last one.
It'll be here, wherever you're watching live, you'll be able to go ahead and watch it on April 9th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Where you'll get a chance to basically, again, get a look behind the scenes. The developers have been hard at work for some cool stuff that you are definitely not going to want to miss. And over the course of that show, Twitch drops will be live. So there'll be another emblem, which you can see here live on the screen, that'll be available after about 15 minutes of view time. If you haven't gone ahead and also unlocked the emblems that you got as a result of this show or that we're having available during the Into the Light streams, then you have a chance to go ahead and spend some more time unlocking those as well. But that does it. For starters, to all of you Guardians out there in chat, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We're thrilled about what we've been able to show off and thrilled about what the team's been working on for Into the
that's
Light.
it?
So thank you for taking the time to
You told
join
us all
us.
this and that's it?
Chat, we see you out there having a good time, so thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. Also, it goes without saying, but we'll go ahead and do so anyway, to the incredible team here at Bungie, building Into the Light, making all of this, the teams that you guys have been kind enough to represent. Thank you all so much for all of your hard work. We're nothing without the entire teams that we have here. Teams are obviously greater than heroes, and we're firm believers in that. You're all great examples of that whole scenario. To our play testers as well that have helped us bring this show to life, Ashley, Peyton, and Michael here behind the scenes. Thank you so much for showing off some of the cool new content, and of course all of our guests, to Tom, to Rob, to Cooley, to Willie, to Noah, to Kelsey. I'm not forgetting anyone, am I?
Chris.
To Chris, thank you. To the one and only Mr. Chris Proctor as well. Thank you all for joining us. And now that is about it. So we're going to keep the stream here live until about 11:30, I believe, so you can go ahead and get a little bit more time racking up the last bits of those emblems. But in the meantime, that's it for all of us here at Bungie. Oh, also, I'm sorry, to the team of producers here, everyone here that makes this show possible, they have the challenge of making me look good on camera, so obviously their work is cut out for them. Thank you all so much for helping bring this show to life. And now, finally, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and reminder, Into the Light launches next week. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all Starside.
The PvP maps look incredibly intimidating and extremely close range from just a walkthrough. Maybe it'll look different when there's more Guardians on it, but it looks like scout rifles are just not going to be where it's at, which kind of hurts for me because I'm a scout player. I'm excited to be able to craft those exotics. I think the pulse rifle outbreak is gonna end up coming back the way that it was when it first came out, which that was one of the pulse rifles that I really enjoyed using, especially for the Siva part of it, because I like my poison and plague builds, right? Like, that's my thing. So I think that'll be really cool. I want to see what the secrets are. I think the secrets are going to be very interesting too. I just don't know. I don't know how all this stuff is gonna be being remastered, right? They said the chests have moved in these exotic missions, so I mean there's that, but it looks like for the most part the bones of the missions are still very, very much the same. I do think that they're going to be incredibly difficult, because back when they first released they were extremely difficult, and hearing them say that they've scaled it up for us means that it's going to be just as hard now as it was back then. I was trying to wait out some of this time, but I think we're going to close it. Alright. Boom. Bam. Kapow. There we go. And do that. We're gonna re-put in our input for screen capture. We're gonna get back to what we were doing. I think resets happen now, so we will see what's available. I hope that there's something on the throne world. I poked myself in the face. Bum, 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 bum. I can hear it, but I can't see it at the moment. I do want to try out these new PvP builds, so we might go into Warlords or something. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, the capture card is not on. I thought I already turned it on. Oh, Iron Banana is here. So there won't be trials this weekend. Dang, just as I got my flawless too. No, it's still on Europa. What is the drop? Is it legs? It is legs. Dang, man. Not what I wanted. Okay, let's swap here. I just had bad luck with these drops because I really needed a helmet and I did not get a helmet. Oi. Okay, let's do this. That. We're gonna go. I need a dungeon to do, so. We're either gonna do Ghost of the Deep or Warlords. I would rather do Warlords, to be honest. Let me make the privacy invite only, so that way I can do this. Warlords is not in here. It is. Nope. Let's go steep. It should be on one of these, right? There we go. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna do something really quick before we actually get into this. I need to... I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick before we start this.
I've seen enough things to lose hope. Every years are going. I am even stronger now. Evil is lurking around. live forever within our souls. So do we right now, and life will go on. And then we'll become just nothing at all. Just nothing. Just nothing. Just nothing. Just nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And then we'll become just nothing at all.
Guardian, good running tactical for you again. This is where the Dark Ether Trail went cold. Oh, Petra's calling. I'll patch her into the feed. Petra, did you lose some scorn on Earth?
Not exactly. Riven tells us an Ahamkara claims territory in this region.
I've patrolled this range dozens of times. I'd have noticed a dragon.
They have a history of eluding you, but we'll get to the bottom of this. A minion of the Ahamkara here, I guess. Approach with caution.